Let me tell you something. I don't usually like to brag, okay? That's not my thing. But I was right. Okay, before we get started on this one, remember to subscribe to this page. Please subscribe to the page. Remember to like this video. It helps with the algorithm, helps people see this video. And remember to click that little bell below for all notifications on Butler Did It Show. Wandavision episode 5. Listen. Let me take a deep breath, okay? Let me take a deep breath. I want to talk about a couple of small things before I talk about the big thing that I've been talking about for weeks, okay? So I'm just going to get through the few small things, okay? The episode was excellent. The show's getting better week by week. I knew it would. Marvel never really lets us down. Just knew it would work. Okay, here we go. One thing we learned, right, about the hex is what they're calling it now, which is this reality that Wanda has created. Okay, one thing we learned about the hex is that people are under her control, and the people that are under her control are in agony. It's actually a pretty harsh thing that's happening to folks right now. We learned that when Monica came out of it. She talked about the pain and the sorrow. It's like you almost relating to Wanda's feelings. Okay, that's one. Two, Wanda's children, okay, Wiccan and Speed, that's their comic book names, okay, Wiccan and Speed, and their power sets are very similar to Wanda and Quicksilver's, okay. Wiccan and Speed, the names make sense. You can figure out Wiccan and Speed, you get it. They are not fully under Wanda's control. They are self-aware, okay. That's a big thing. That's something really interesting to think about, and it seems like Agnes has an eye on these children, and we'll talk about Agnes. Also, I just want to say really quickly, I'm sorry I didn't do the Mephisto video. That was for a reason, okay? I'm not ready to talk about Mephisto yet. I'm not really ready to go there yet. I'm not even sure, and I know everybody's convinced. I'm not even sure Mephisto is the big bad in this. Just don't know. Talk about that later. So the children are not under Wanda's control, okay? And that's a big thing, because we all know a mother's love for their children, a parent's love for their children, and these are the two entities within this universe, two of the entities within this universe that Wanda can't control, being her children. That's a big plot device. That's something that can really be important later on, okay? Also, another thing really quickly to talk about, Vision is starting to figure things out. And we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago, that it feels like there's going to be a duel between Vision and Wanda. Traditionally in the books, Wanda and Vision fight all the time. Matter of fact, if you think about Captain America's Civil War, Wanda was on Team Tony, I believe. And no, was Wanda on Team Cap? And I believe Vision was on Team Stark. I don't remember. Y'all let me know in the comments below. Help me out with that one. But they were on opposite sides and they battled. Wanda and Vision battle all the time. It would not surprise me if Vision has to basically, he won't take Wanda out. We know she's going to be in the Multiverse of Madness, which is important. That's the next movie. That's the Doctor Strange movie. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. But if, Vision has to help slow Wanda down and get her back to her senses, that would not surprise me at all. Okay. For the rest of the video, this is what I'm going to talk about, okay? Because this is something I called after the first 2 episodes. I want to brag because I called it. You saw it. Pietro from the Fox universe, Quicksilver, shows up at the end of the episode. Now let's talk about this. In this episode, we find out that Wanda did indeed bring back Vision from the dead by using his body. She broke into the SWORD facility, took his body. There was actually supposed to be a bonus scene, extra credit scene at the end of Endgame, showing Wanda opening up a body bag and then bringing Vision to life. So that was known. Okay, so she did resurrect the Vision. Okay, one of the themes of this episode is resurrection, bringing people back to life. There's this dog Sparky that they find. The kids fall in love with it. Sparky dies. The kids ask, well, mommy, you can bring people back to death, back from the dead. Agnes makes a very interesting face when they mention this to Wanda. Okay, she even says to her, can you do that? Something's up with Agnes. I think I know who Agnes is. I don't want to spoil that too much though, because I think that'd be a big moment for people watching the show. Resurrection seems to be the theme of the show. the twins, right, ask Wanda in the show. I mean, during this episode, they ask Wanda, did you have a brother? Now, Wanda says to her children, I do. She didn't say I did like she told Monica. Remember, she told Monica Rambeau, I did have a brother. You know, I was a twin. Monica Rambeau figured out what was going on because her will was strong. Okay. We'll talk about Monica Rambeau a little bit at the end of the episode. All right. Because that's really important. I think people need to really keep an eye on Monica Rambeau for what we talk about towards the end. Okay. So they ask her about her, you know, does she have a brother? She says, I do, but he's far, far away. And that makes me sad. Okay. He's far, far away. And it makes me sad. There's the other moment when the dog dies, right? And it's Agnes, Wanda, and the two kids, the twins, Speed and Wiccan, right? And they talk about the dog and they say, Mommy, the dog's family, you're supposed to bring back family. They say something along those lines. And Wanda makes a face, okay? In one of those two moments, okay? If maybe they took both of them, but in one of those, if not both of those moments, in one of those two moments, I'm telling you, Wanda searched the multiverse. For people that are into Marvel but don't really read the comic books, the multiverse is essentially self-explanatory. There's a number of different universes. I talked about this before. The main Marvel universe takes place in Earth 616. There's Earth 280. There's Earth 394, and there's all sorts of just different versions of our heroes. Right? It sounds like. Okay, she searches the multiverse. Forgive me, I'm excited, y'all. This will really put a smile on my face. She searches the multiverse and she finds the Fox version of Quicksilver. What they're establishing is that the Fox X-Men operated in another part of the multiverse, that they are real within the MCU. That changes everything, y'all. That changes everything. Let's step out of the comic book world for a minute. For people that aren't familiar, the reason why you haven't seen the X-Men or the Fantastic Four or other Marvel characters that you're very familiar with right outside of the MCU, the reason why you haven't seen them inside of the MCU was because some of them were owned by Fox and some of them were owned by Disney proper. For years, these two companies were pretty much rivals, okay, when it came to their comic book properties. About 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 at this point, Disney acquired Fox, okay? They acquired all of the Fox properties, okay, except for Fox News. They don't own Fox News and they don't own Fox Sports. Everything else Fox, they own FX, Hulu, the Alien franchise, the Avatar franchise, all of this stuff they own now, right? And for comic book nerds like myself, we geeked in joy. Okay, we geeked out because now we were able to see some of the larger properties be part of the MCU. Deadpool, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and more. Name more, all sorts of people, right? Okay, now back to the MCU. Oh, let me step back a minute. Kevin Feige a couple of years ago was asked, maybe 2 years ago, this was before the pandemic, so this was at Comic-Con. Yeah, so this is before the pandemic. Kevin Feige announced all of these properties, all these new movies he's going to put out, right? Blade, all sorts of stuff, right? And he didn't mention the X-Men, but at the end of the big celebration and the announcement, he said, oh yeah, I forgot to mention mutants are coming, right? He said mutants are coming. Then when asked, in just different interviews, Kevin Feige said, yeah, we got our 5-year plan. The X-Men aren't part of that. So it lulled a lot of people to sleep. We did not expect the X-Men to come. But I told you all, when they made a Wandavision show and I started seeing the previews for the Wandavision show, and I noticed it was in an alternate reality, the first thing I thought of is House of M. The first thing I thought of, okay? You all know I've been saying this. Now we're here. Quicksilver from the Fox universe, Evan Peters, shows up at her door. Okay. Darcy even says, oh, they recast her brother? This really changes a lot, y'all. This changes a lot. This really opens the door for all sorts of cameos in the show and the MCU moving forward. Guys, Patrick Stewart could show up. Ian McKellen could show up. I don't know. Anyone. anyone. Hugh Jackman could show up. I know it sounds weird, but I mean, we just saw Evan Peters in this show. I told you before, this show is changing the landscape of the MCU. This little show, it did it. Another cool thing that happened in the show, because we'll talk about Quicksilver and all of this. He's going to be in the next episode. Now we can openly talk about this stuff and have all sorts of conversation, all sorts of theories, all sorts of just everything about mutants within the MCU. I'm going to talk about two more things before I let you go. There was the scene where the Sword crew sends a drone into the Hex, right? The Hex, again, is Wanda's universe. Wanda notices, I don't know if she put the world on pause for a second or something, stepped out of it, and she was full Scarlet Witch. She even had her accent back, which is really interesting, right? She was full Scarlet Witch, okay? The Sword agent, the head of Sword, and Monica Rambeau, they tried to talk some sense to her, let her know, like, look, man, we don't know what's going on. You know, you're going to have to stop this, and another. She says, look, I'm never going to lose it all again. I'm paraphrasing. I'm never going to lose it all again. You all better leave me alone. Monica Rambeau shows her face. She looks at Monica Rambeau, oh, you still here? She's about to power up and throw that girl into who the hell else, who knows where, okay? They managed to calm her down, right? Wanda gives them the warning. But before she does it, she takes over the minds of all of the guards and turns the guns on them, right? Cool scene, excellent scene, very important to the show. You see that Wanda's in control, more affirmation that she is the one running the show. At least we think, right? She may be getting manipulated, but she is right now in charge, right? Right now, at least when it comes to that, she's in charge. But you know why I really thought this scene was cool? You know why I really thought this scene was cool? You remember in X-Men 1? Here I go. You remember in the first X-Men, there was a scene where Magneto had a standoff with a bunch of police officers, right? And Charles Xavier gets into Sabretooth's mind, chokes out Magneto, and basically tells him to stop. Magneto takes all of the officers' guns and turns them on them and fires them and stops the bullets mid shot. One bullet is literally spinning on the dude's head. And he says to Charles, I can't stop them all, Charles. This was a callback to that. This was a callback to that. Y'all, they are going there. They are going there. I'm so excited. I want to talk about Monica Rambeau just before we go. Monica Rambeau is going to be super important, okay? She's the character Photon, all right? I could help it, okay? There's a scene in the beginning of the show when they show her and she's getting her x-rays and everything's inconclusive. They even look at the pad and say, yo, this is the pad, bro. We're going to do this again. And it looks like if you look at the pad really closely, and I'll try to pull up a picture, if you look at the pad really closely, you can see the silhouette of her body. You can see like her neck and her shoulders. And it looks like pure energy. When Monica Rambeau was thrown through the Hex, I believe she received her powers. I believe this is the origin story for her character, and we will not be seeing the last of her at all. She's going to be a major character within the MCU. And yo, I'm wearing this shirt for a reason, because we're about to see a serious, strong black female superhero within the MCU. Y'all, it's going down. We got mutants. We got Monica Rambeau. We got the multiverse. Wandavision is amazing. Oh, one more thing I got to say. My bad. One more thing I got to say. I'm not sure it's Mephisto we're dealing with. I would not be surprised if we were. In fact, I could be very wrong about this one, okay? But this movie goes directly into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. The multiverse is open. Oh, by the way, at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, right? At the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, you see J. Jonah Jameson shows up on the screen, exposes Spider-Man. It's the J. Jonah Jameson from the Sonyverse. Spider-Man Homecoming takes place after WandaVision, okay? The multiverse is open, all right? So it's so much going on, so much cool stuff. But this is going into Multiverse of Madness, the new Doctor Strange movie, okay? The big bad in the Doctor Strange world is Dormammu. All right. I know I pronounced that wrong. I never pronounced his name right. Excuse me for that. But he was definitely in Doctor Strange 1. he has abilities to sort of warp realities, and he's really interested in the multiverse as well. I think that may be the big bad for this show, and not so much Mephisto, but Mephisto could be a part of this. I could be wrong. So here's what I want to ask you guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Are we sure it's Mephisto? Are we sure about that? Okay. Are we sure that Mephisto is the one pretty much pulling the strings behind all of this, really manipulating Wanda and boosting up her powers, making sure that she is, stuck in this world and happy in this world? Did she make a deal with the devil? Talk to me. Let me know in the comment section below. Guys, I can't wait for episode 5. Just a heads up, I got a lot of cool videos coming out this week. Sorry I didn't have a video for Wednesday. Just had to get some stuff together. I got a really cool announcement about a project I'm working on. Super excited about that. I gotta sign the contract. Once I sign the contract, I will be talking to you guys about that. Trust me, I can't wait to announce that. A couple of cool videos, including one with me and my wife. It's gonna be really cool. Also next week I'm going to be in Georgia. Okay, so pray for me. I'm traveling. All right, should you pray up for your boy? I'm going to be in Georgia, and I will be in Georgia on next Friday. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get my review up on time. I'm going to try to, okay, but I'm visiting family and I don't want to be super rude while I'm down there. So please forgive me. I may have to get my review up a couple of days later. That's going to suck, but I'm going to try my best to get it out. All right. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be great. Remember to mind your mentals. Please mind your mentals. That's what Marshawn said. All right. And remember to stay fresh. I love y'all, and I'm up out of here.